The Indiana Fever's problems of not being able to close out games once again bites them in the butt against the Los Angeles Sparks, and in this game they really missed Caitlin Clark. The Fever started off this game in the same way they started off a lot of their recent losses. They've been up in these games, they've had the momentum, it seemed like they were going to win it, and then at the end they just lose it all, they fall apart, they aren't able to get offense in the way they were earlier in the game, and Caitlin Clark can really help with that because she's good at playing in these games down the stretch. But despite the loss, the Fever did play well in this game, and they fought throughout the entirety of it. Natasha Howard had 21 points on 8 for 11 shooting from the field. It wasn't a very dominant 21 points, but it was a 21 points of taking what the defense gave her. She played well. Aaliyah Boston had 23 and 12 in this game. She was 9 for 17 from the field, less efficient than you usually see Aaliyah Boston, but she did get down low into the paint. She used her strength. Kelsey Mitchell also had 19 points in this game, and she was only 8 for 17 from the field, so I would have wanted to see her shoot the ball a little bit more, especially since Caitlin Clark is not out there. You would have wanted to see her shoot it at least maybe 20 to 22 times in this game. She kind of was iced out of this game, which I did not like, but she did play well and she had a lot of big moments. But the reason the Fever lost this one was because on the other side, Kelsey Plum and Azira Stevens were cooking, and it really was the entirety of this Los Angeles Sparks team. It doesn't help that the Indiana Fever defense wasn't that good in this game, as we're going to look at in this video. They had a lot of blunders defensively, and it wasn't as good as you saw them against the Lynx or against the Aces, but on top of the mid defense from the Fever, it was just insane offense from the Sparks. We're going to get into some of these plays down the stretch where the Sparks just made shots you wouldn't think a team that's the 10 seed in the WNBA would make, but the Sparks did make those shots, so you got to give it to them. But let's go ahead and get into the film so you guys can see what exactly happened in this game and how it fell apart for the Fever. And I want you to look at this first place. Natasha Howard on the low post, getting an easy layup at the cup, and I liked her game today because once again, she did not do too much. She just took what the defense gave her, and she scored over 20 points because of it. Now, there were some plays in this game where she did not look too good, but for the majority of the game, it's the Natasha Howard that we've seen over the past 3 to 4 games. It's the Natasha Howard that looks like a great signing, the Natasha Howard that looks 10 times better than Alyssa Smith. If we keep this going from Natasha, this team is going to be very good. But the Fever went back to their old ways in this game, which was one of their biggest problems. It's their defense. Look at them giving up this layup to Azira Stevens, and it's not bad defense. It's just better offense, and it's bad personnel more than anything from the Fever, because what is Kelsey Mitchell supposed to do against Azira down there? There's nothing she can do. That's too big of a player, too good of a center. Kelsey Mitchell can't do anything. The Indiana Fever always are collapsing in the paint interior-wise defensively, and it's costing them points on points on points. The Fever played well offensively in this game, even from the fourth quarter all the way into the fourth quarter. The problem with the Fever in this game was that they allowed the other team to score every single time they scored. It was a back and forth game, and the Fever were not able to have a stretch of stopping the Los Angeles Sparks for long enough to get the win. But on the other side of the court, the paint was wide open for the Fever, so I like to see them attacking it, just like this play going down to Aaliyah Boston where she gets the easy layup. I loved her game today because Aaliyah Boston was aggressive. It's 2 games in a row where she's been a freaking polar bear, a player who's a beast, an aggressive player that's not deferring, that's realizing that she's big and strong and using her size to get layups at the cup. I loved her game performance tonight, and I love the aggression from Aaliyah Boston. And this play is more of the same. It's Aaliyah Boston getting the offensive rebound here and just going up and over these smaller players. She's big, she's sizey, she's a beast, so use your size. There's no need to play small when you're as big and as skilled as Aaliyah Boston is around the rim. I'm glad to see her finally realizing that she is one of the best centers, if not the best center in the WNBA. Use your size, golly. But on the other end of the court, the Indiana Fever weren't able to get stops, or every single shot the Fever made, the Los Angeles Sparks responded with a shot of their own. And right here, the Fever actually do get a stop, but they can't get the rebound. And that leads to a corner shot from Stevens that she drills. So you did initially get a stop on this play, but you weren't able to give the rebound, so you gave the Sparks another chance to kill you, and they do. The Indiana Fever definitely need to work on their rebounding, because in this game, they gave up a lot of defensive rebounds, which turned into offensive rebounds for the other team, which ends up being translated into second chance points. The Indiana Fever are killing themselves by not getting the rebounds when they actually get stops. But the Fever on offense were in fact cooking in this game, and it was exciting to watch. Look at Kelsey Mitchell going through the paint, coming out to the three-point line, drilling this shot. She got sauce on sauce on sauce on sauce. Man, she's been cooking over the last 6 games. Shout out to Kelsey Mitchell because she's been on fire. The only problem I had with her in this game was that she didn't look for the ball later on in it. But one thing that did help the Indiana Fever's interior defense in this game was Michaela Timson. She came in the game and she started swatting stuff like on this play. This is an insane block from Timson, man. You might have saw it on Twitter already, but let me show you one more time. This is insane from Michaela Timson. The rookie was getting up, and she did not get a whole bunch of blocks in this game, but she altered a whole lot of shots by her sides. If you actually saw her out there playing interior defense, it was exceptional. She also also gave you stuff offensively. She was great in this game. I probably would have wanted to see her get a little bit more minutes because when she was out there, the Indiana Fever were a lot better. And this is exactly what I'm talking about with Michaela Timson. She alters this shot just enough. It might not show up on the box score, but she did all of that defensively. But the problem is the Fever don't get the defensive rebound here. They don't get the rebound because the Indiana Fever suck at getting rebounds. So even though you got to stop initially, you don't get the rebound, and it leads to layup for the other team. But once again, Timson was pretty good in this game. You see Ari McDonald getting down low, making the pass to Timson, and she makes the layup. She was not bad when she got shots down low in the paint in this game, and she drew some fouls in this game. She is a good player around the rim. You just got to go to her. I'm going to really love it when Caitlin Clark does come back, hopefully next Wednesday, and then I want to see that pick and roll between Caitlin and Michaela, and off the pick and roll, I want to see Caitlin give the ball directly to Timson. I want to see how that works. I want to see if Timson can run the role of a Timmy Fagbinley, and we'll see if it does produce good fruit. And even though the Fever's defense really could be better on this play, Kelsey Plum was cooking in this game, and you got to give it to her. She weaves through all the defense, gets the layup at the cup. Aaliyah Boston definitely could have came over and helped more, but that's just a tough finish from Kelsey Plum, and she made some crazy shots in this game. There was one shot on the wing where she fell down after she hit it. The defense was smothering her, and she swished it. It was just insane. She was cooking in this game. You got to give it to Kelsey. And I want you to look at this next place. The Indiana Fever going down to Aaliyah Boston, and she gets this layup up and over the defender. She's being aggressive. When she gets it in the paint, she's going up strong with it, and she's making her layups. That's what you love to see from Aaliyah Boston. Not her being scary, not her avoiding contact, but just going up straight with it and making your layups around the rim because she has the best touch around the rim, better than any player in the WNBA, more efficient than any player in the WNBA, so I love to see her being aggressive. And look at this next play. It's Ari McDonald throwing the pass through the defense to Aaliyah Boston, who makes the layup at the cup. The paint was wide open for the Fever in this game. They really did a good job of attacking it. I am proud of this team for realizing that there was an opening and going to it throughout the entirety of the game. There was no point in the game where they stopped going to the paint. Even down the stretch where they missed layups, at least they were attacking the paint because the Sparks left it wide open. The only problem with this team in this game was defense. It had nothing to do with their offense. Offense was great. They had a great offensive game plan in this game. They just folded on defense. Hamby's just going to work against Aaliyah Boston, and Aaliyah's interior defense is not there. No matter how much you score on one side, on the other side, if you're not getting stops, you're not going to win these games. It's the same thing I've been talking about on this channel for months on months on months on months on months. If you don't get stops, you cannot win games. The Indiana Fever have horrible interior defense. The past two games, it was fine, but before that, it was horrible. It was horrible in this game. This is what you should expect from the Indiana Fever. Those two games against the Lynx and the Aces were anomalies. You're not going to see that from this team all the time. What you're probably going to see from them most of the time is this. Horrible interior defense. We've seen it since all the way back to last year. They've got to improve. They've got to bring in better interior defenders. And once again, the Sparks were just cooking in this game. You got to give it to them. Look at Stevens getting the shot on the wing, man. She dribbles into this. She's a freaking center. Golly, man. She was cooking in this game. I really want her on the Indiana Fever. I want her on the Fever bad because she's cold. She makes shots. She be doing a whole lot for this Sparks team. I feel like she is way too good to be on a team with 6 wins on the season. Fever need to pick her up as soon as possible. That would be an amazing pickup and an amazing addition to the front court with Aaliyah Boston, in my humble opinion. And this right here is not bad defense from the Fever. Natasha Howard is there. Stevens just drills his three-point shot up and over her. Stevens has cooked us in 2 games against the Indiana Fever, man. We got to pick this chick up because she's cold. We need a good big man, a good center who's going to play interior defense to play alongside Aaliyah Boston, because Aaliyah Boston, even though she's a center, I feel like she's more of a combo big man because she's kind of a power forward, especially with the shooting and the lack of interior defense. I think she could play well with another center in the front court with her, kind of like Rudy Gobert and Kat did. I think it would work out. So Stevens would be a great player to bring on if the Fever are looking for a player, but I don't think the Sparks are going to give her up. She's kind of cold. It would take a lot to get Stevens on the team, but if you could take her, I would in a heartbeat. And look at this saucy move from Kelsey Mitchell, get into the mid-range and hitting this shot. She was cooking in this game, man. I really do wonder why the Fever didn't go to her more, man, because she always is cooking hot in these games, and the Fever just aren't looking to go to her, man. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And they do the same thing with Caitlin Clark. When she's red hot, the Fever aren't drawing up plays for their hot players. That doesn't make any doggone sense. The coaching is tripping sometimes. When you got a player really cooking, go to them. Let them put up 5-6 shots in a row. It's not going to be the end of the world if they do. Luka does it. Steph does it. Kyrie does it. Any great player with an offensive juggernaut gets up their shots when they're hot. It should be no different with the Indiana Fever. Fever. And once again, for every single shot the Fever do make, they give up one on the other side. Look at the Fever giving up this wide open shot to the Sparks, man. You can't give them a wide open three, but the Fever do it consistently. They consistently give up open three-point jump shots in these games, open layups in these games, and they cannot win if they're having these kind of lapses on defense. And Kelsey Plum once again was cooking in this game. Look at her stepping back for this three-point jump shot, man. What can you do about that? That's good defense, better offense. The Sparks were playing a lot better than your usual trash team. I know people are going to be like, the Fever played against one of the worst teams in the league, but you got to look at the reality of the situation. This is the best the Sparks have played all season. This team is not usually playing like this, but they are playing like this against the Fever. Not entirely because the Fever suck defensively, but mainly because the Sparks and many other teams play up when they play the Fever. They give their best game when they play against Indiana because a lot of these teams and players don't like them. And that's just going to happen when your team gets 10 times more publicity than any other team in the WNBA. And look at this next play. The Fever are trying to get a stop, and they're doing an amazing job here against the Sparks. But what a freaking shot by Stevens, man. What do you do against this? The shot clock is running out. You've done an entire play of amazing defense, and then at the end, Stevens makes this bull crap up and over Natasha Howard. What can you say about that, man? That's a tough shot from Stevens. She was great in this game. The Sparks played great in this game. That's why they got the win. They just played well. But on the other end, the Fever was still making shots. Look at this three-point shot from Kelsey Mitchell. It's a banger. The time was running out. You needed a shot. Kelsey Mitchell delivered. This is what I like to see from Kelsey Mitchell, being a ship steadier for this Indiana Fever team. When the storm comes, when the winds are raging and the water is going up and down, Kelsey Mitchell will still the storm with shots in these games. She does it all the time. She's always stopping the bleeding for this Indiana Fever team. The only problem I have, once again, is that they're not going to her more. Why are these some of the last shots we see from Kelsey Mitchell in this game? She's got to shoot the basketball more, man. It's got to happen. And look at this next play, man. Even though the Indiana Fever are scoring, they're giving up wide open layups. You were up 5 at this point. That cuts the lead to 3 because you give up a wide open lane to the Sparks. You cannot let this happen at the end of the game. There's 3 minutes left, man. You're so close to a victory. You have all the momentum at this point, but you're having defensive lapses. The Fever have to fix this, man. I know people after the Lynx and the Aces games were like, the Indiana Fever defense is here now. They're one of the best defensive teams in the league. And I'm like, y'all, stop it. Stop it. And look at what happens on this next play. The Indiana Fever do force a miss out of the Sparks, but they can't get their rebound. Azira Stevens gets her own rebound, and that leads to a layup for the Sparks, man. The Fever interior defense and rebounding were the biggest problems they had in this game. And this right here really hurt the Indiana Fever. They could have got a stop. She should have just played straight up. I don't even know what she's trying to do here. Just a horrible foul, and this gives the Sparks all the momentum, man. It becomes a 1-point game after this, going the way of the Fever, and just look what happens. Kelsey Mitchell gets down low into the paint, and she just misses this layup. Was there a little bit of contact here? Yes. Could this have been a foul? Yes. Early in the game, were they calling fouls like this? Yes. Do they call it here? No. Am I crying about it? No, because Kelsey Mitchell could have made this layup, and she should have made this layup. Even though there was a little bump, Kelsey Mitchell had way too much space to miss this kind of layup, and this is not the only one. But first, we got to look at what happens on the other side. They give up a wide open layup to Rakia Jackson, man. And look, Lexi Hole did get to the spot. She did draw contact here, but they didn't call it this part in the game. That could have been a charge. They didn't want to call a charge. They just weren't calling any fouls down the stretch, even though earlier in the game they were calling these fouls. But it is what it is. They get the layup. Big time plays from the Los Angeles Sparks, and the Indiana Fever are answering. On the other end, Aaliyah Boston gets an open layup attempt, and she just misses it. You cannot miss layups if you want to win games. Too many missed layups in these games for the Indiana Fever. And if you're going to try to win with just offense, with no defense, you're just outscoring the other team, you have to get everything you can. You can't be missing layups with this type of game plan. The Indiana Fever do be doing that, which is why they don't be winning these games. And this last play was tough. Ari McDonald got a good look at a three-point jump shot. She missed it. She was off all game. And then Lexi Hole does get the offensive rebound, and she kind of rushes this shot. I would have wanted the Fever to call timeout, but I do think she probably got fouled on this play. They don't call it. There's a little bit of a flop here. There's definitely contact, though. They don't call foul here, which is interesting, and the Indiana Fever end up losing the game because of this play. And at the end, Aaliyah Boston does get a shot attempt to try to tie the game, and it doesn't go down. But yeah, this is probably where the game ends for the Fever. It was a tough loss, but hopefully the Indiana Fever can have Caitlin Clark back in the next game. From what I understand, Stephanie White was saying that the only reason Caitlin Clark is out right now is because she does not want to play with with a minutes restriction. So it seems like everything's aligned towards Wednesday, even with the comment she made about Caitlin Clark being out for maybe one more game to avoid playing with the minutes restriction. This would have been that one more game. So hopefully she'll be back in the next game. Wednesday is a while away from now. I think she'll play, especially with the Fever not getting the win. She's probably a little bit pressured to play the next game. And I think she's been healthy for a couple games. She just hasn't been playing because she doesn't want to play with a minutes restriction. It's what we're learning. That's probably the case. It's probably what's been going on. So even though they said it was day-to-day and she's been out for over a week now, maybe it's because Caitlin Clark hasn't wanted to play with a minutes restriction, which is interesting, but they do need her back. They need her back bad because this Indiana Fever team is not closing out any games. They're consistently giving up big leads in the second half, so they've got to do better, and Caitlin Clark will definitely help. But that's where I'm going to sign out with this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I certainly did, man. Y'all take it easy. Peace out.